Bruchim Abayim, welcome to this sacred space of Congregation Emuno, a 154-year-old Reform congregation. At B'nai Mitzvah services, I say that I've been with the congregation since its founding. I'm Rabbi Barry Schwartz, Aunt Renee's favorite nephew, among the favorite nephews. Little did my Aunt Renee know that her nephew would become a rabbi, her son-in-law would become a rabbi, her grandson would become a rabbi, her son-in-law's father was a rabbi, and if we count Samantha, that's a fifth rabbi in the family. But my Aunt Renee didn't shy away from giving her opinion to all those rabbis and anybody else in the family as well, always in a loving way. Louisa, would you share a poem?
This poem is from Maya Angelou, When Great Trees Fall. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened. Examine gnaws on kind words unsaid, promise walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration, our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed.
The ancient words of Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to vanquish and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. We are assembled with family and friends in the darkness that has fallen upon us. We raise our voices together to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find these in God, from whom all blessings flow. Let us find them too in loved ones and companions who do God's work by binding up the wounds of the stricken. Who among us has not passed through trials and bereavements? Some bear fresh wounds in their hearts and therefore feel more keenly the kinship of sorrow. Others whose days of mourning are more remote still recall the comfort that sympathy brought to their sorrowing hearts. God be with those whose hearts are saddened. Console them at this hour when consolation seems elusive. Be near to them when light seems so distant. Lift them up, O God, when the time shall come for healing. What can we know of death? We who cannot understand life. We study the seed and the cell, but the power deep within them will always elude us. O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, the possibility of your love remains to comfort us and give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things obey. Our life is a dance to a song we cannot fully hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then seems to cease. Whence the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life, the source of all its mysteries. Teach us, O God, to number our days, that we may live and judge with a heart of understanding and compassion. And in our time of sorrow, be with us. Help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the sorrow of loss is but the measure of a love that is stronger than death. Be our support when our burden is heavy, be our solace when grief tears the heart. Adonai ma adam v'teda'ehu, ben enosh v'tichashvehu. God, what is man that you take note of him? What is a person that you take account of them? Like delicate flowers, we flourish only for a day. Our sojourn on this planet is but a moment in eternity. Yet each of us is created in the divine image. Each of us possesses a holy spark. We have come together sharing our sorrow and our memory to bid farewell to Renee Schulman. We recall now in gratitude the blessing of her life. We recall now the sparks of light that illumine our way.
The prayer we're about to do is called Hashkivenu. It's a prayer that we normally say in the evening as we move from day into night. It's a prayer that we say in moments of transition. And as we move from this moment, as I move from this moment of losing my grandmother, and as we lose Mom, Aunt Renee, I know she has many names here, that this is a prayer for peace as we move from one stage of our lives to the next. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai. If you know it, you can sing it. Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Almost. Here we go. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. I'm sorry about your stroke. There are a number of people who are going to be speaking today. I'm only going to call up a few. I'd like to call my mom forward, my Uncle David forward, to share at this time.
Thank you, Aaron. That was Mom's favorite prayer, and it brought her a lot of comfort. How blessed I am. Who gets to have a mother, to be mothered for 70 years? Who gets to have a true mother, the kind of mother every kid wants and needs for 70 years? The kind of mother my mom was, the kind of mother who is reliable, dependable, predictable, practical, wise, available, intelligent, loving, and nice. Really, really nice. The kind of mother a kid can feel proud of, can brag about. The kind of mother who's there for me whenever I needed a mother to be there for me. The kind of mother every kid wants. How blessed I am to have had that mother for 70 years. Since I was a little girl, I have memories of coming home from school and Mom sitting down at the kitchen table, giving David and me a snack. Okay, I do forgive her for always giving David a high-calorie snack so he would gain weight, and giving me a low-calorie snack so I would lose weight. And asking about our days, and truly listening, truly caring about who we were and how we were doing. This kitchen table ritual has continued my whole life. For the last 18 years of my life, in Birmingham and in Bethesda, my mom and I sat at her kitchen table and got caught up on our days, mostly on my day, mostly every day. I loved checking in. I loved being at her kitchen table. I loved telling her about my day. It went like this. I'd call and say I was stopping by. She'd say, "Judy, don't come. You have too much on your plate, and I am fine." I'd say, "I'm coming because I want to come. I'm coming because I love to come, because I love to see you." She'd say, "Okay, when will you be here?" I'd say, between this time and this time. She'd say, I'll be here. On occasion, if she had someplace to go, she'd ask, Judy time or real time? I'd arrive, usually later than I predicted, and she'd never judge me for my inaccurate time prediction. And every day, when I would drive up for the last 18 years, I would hear that country song in my head. I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna want this back. I'm gonna wish that these days hadn't gone by that fast. These are the good days. Every time for the last 18 years, I knew how lucky I was. I never took it for granted. She'd always say, take a snack and sit down. She kept healthy snacks, never caloric, just for me. And we would talk. Well, mostly I would talk and she would listen. I'd tell her about my day, my concerns, my challenges. I'd tell her about client cases and ask for feedback. Since she was so sensible and wise, the client feedback she gave was always spot on. I should have put her on my payroll as case consultant. I'd ask her about her opinion about something John or the kids or grandkids were doing. She'd listen. She was a good listener. And if I'd ask, what do you think? She'd tell me. She'd be frank and direct, with a gentle and kind and wise way. She had a good perspective. She was usually right. And after a little bit of visiting, Mom would say, hold on, I missed something. Oh, okay. After a little bit of visiting, Mom would say, okay, leave now. You've got too much on your plate. I learned from Mom that advice is love. Every time I left her house, she would say, drive carefully. My response was always, I love you too, Mom. David's was, I'll drive like a bat out of hell. But it is true, advice is love. Mom cared. She truly cared. I knew it, I felt it, I received it, and she was good at it. And I felt loved by it. But Mom was reserved when she offered her advice, love. Usually, if she saw things differently, she would not comment, and that was my sign that she didn't agree with my decision. But only if it was very important did she speak up. And I usually took her, and then she was a straight shooter, and I usually took her directness to heart, because advice is love, and I felt it, and she was usually wise and right. Sometimes I would ask her opinion about what the kids or grandkids were doing that worried me. If she and I were on the same page, she would say, I'm going to talk to them about it. And that was a good thing, because they were receptive to her style of advice is love, probably because she was judicious about giving it. Mostly she was a good listener, asking questions. Mom was an integral, rich, and meaningful part of the fabric of our family's life. You'll hear about those times from my wonderful children, how lucky she was to experience their devotion and love. In the good times, and more recently in the challenging times, my kids and their spouses showed up. She so valued and respected each of them. She and Aunt Phyllis were at our Shabbat table every Friday night, and she usually delighted, or at least tolerated, the family-loving chaos. Most Tuesday nights, John and I joined her for dinner, and she loved John, and she so appreciated his dedication to her. And wow, was he dedicated and devoted. She could not have had a better son-in-law. In fact, he gets the award for being best son-in-law in the universe. And best husband, too. Thanks for all you've done to hold my hand through this. He baked her mandel bread, he drove her, he watched out for her. He was always there to make her life easier and to help me out. I will be forever grateful. and Mom told me she was forever grateful. How blessed she was. My mother wove for me a rich and beautiful tapestry of time and love and devotion. She was a blessing for me and for our whole family. I'm gonna miss her, but now she is part of me and I will be forever grateful. Her wedding ring and my father's wedding ring said, "Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be." I pulled it from her finger when she died. She is blessed. She is with my father in eternity. The best is yet to be.
It's beautiful. Okay.
My mom was not very demonstrative about expressing her love. We all know that she was anything but effusive. But I always knew and felt that my mom's love was always there. My mother and father showed how a deep love could be expressed. And this was in the way they toasted each other each night before dinner. This is something that I think of each dinner when Louisa and I toast each other. However, we do it with wine and not with store-brand tomato juice. My mother was enjoyable to be with. She was intelligent, she was well-read, well-informed. She had a good, dry sense of humor. When a prospective resident would come to Fox Hill, they would have my mom meet with them. I think that was part of their sales pitch. My mom taught me to have integrity, to be a lifelong learner, and value education. She taught me the proper way to write a check. Judy, you weren't paying attention when she did this. But most importantly, she taught me the value of family. And I see the significance of that as I look around the synagogue today. So thank you, Mom, for guiding my steps, for these lessons, and for your love and caring.
So the grandkids all prepared a few remarks that we'll share. Some of my happiest memories as a kid were at number 3 Herm's place. I remember how the garage smelled clean. The kitchen, unused, smelled clean. And even the basement where Grandpa and I did our building projects together smelled clean. I loved our walks to the lake in the winter and feeding the geese. I remember Alana and me fighting over whatever stool counter the other one was sitting on and sneaking Oreos from their cookie drawer when Grandma was in the other room. I loved when my parents would travel and Grandma and Grandpa would take care of us. Grandpa had whatever crazy idea he wanted to do, usually involving a stop at a candy store. And then there was Grandma's constant refrain, "Burn, burn, burn." Fast forward to DC, and Grandma was the most regular attendee at a 20s and 30s downtown single Shabbat that I used to run. She would always ask, "Are you sure I'm not too old to be here?" And I would always assure her, so long as she did not hit on any younger men, she would be just fine. At Metro Minion and then Washington Hebrew, Renee was my grandmother, but at Fox Hill, I was Renee's grandson. Grandma was a bit of a Fox Hill celebrity, and from the steady flow of residents that would come up to us and say hi, to the staff. People seem to know and love Grandma. "Oh, you're Renee's grandson. I just love Renee," everyone would say. So I'll miss seeing Grandma for dinners on Thursdays and Shabbat on Fridays and for whatever classes I was teaching during the week. I don't know how many adult grandchildren who had their grandmother so close and so present, and I will feel her absence and her presence for the rest of my life.
It's hard to believe that I met Grandma when I was only 19 or 20, closer to Leonia and Tali's ages today than my own. I remember visiting her at Herm's place after our year in Israel. She and Grandpa even let Aaron and me sleep in the same room because we were already married. Separate beds, though. Over the past 20 plus years, Grandma became the grandparent I came to know best because she was such a close part of our lives. Grandma moved to DC just a couple of months before Tali was born. We'd go over to Fox Hill most Sundays for a swim and a brunch. After brunch and watching me try to eat my salad over my new baby, Grandma would turn to me and ask, "Do you remember what you ate?" No, I did not. Fast forward a bit, and we shifted to weekly dinners at Fox Hill. Our girls ran the halls like they owned the place and spilled their food everywhere. Grandma was deeply embarrassed. More recently, the girls developed an obsession with Parmesan cheese and ordered buckets of it with their pasta, and Grandma was even more deeply embarrassed. And in spite of how much we embarrassed her, I feel so lucky that she was part of our lives. How lucky to have had her as a grandma, how lucky that she was so close with Leonia and Tali, and how lucky that we all knew and loved her so much.
I think it might be nice, instead of calling one grandchild at a time, to have Alana, Ruth, Benjamin, and Diana come on up, and you can speak in that order.
Having grown up living far away from my grandparents, I was acutely aware of how lucky I was to have Grandma nearby for her last chapter. As you all know, and as we have talked about, Grandma was not particularly verbose, especially on the phone. So I called every day. It was a quick call, a quick hello, and these chats took no time, but over the years, it helped me gain such a beautiful perspective on life. In the last few years, our daily calls always involved a discussion of the men in my life, also known as Judah and Teddy. And she reveled in her greats. So I'd fill her in on my parenting joys and struggles, and I turned to her for parenting advice. And she told me that when she was a new parent, she read all the books about parenting, but the problem was that the kids did not. And this is why now I read parenting books out loud with Judah. She once told me she wished she hadn't been so strict. And now you know why my kids are spoiled rotten. My heart is heavy. I miss my cookie. And I will carry her love, her memory, and her presence with me for all my days.
So as we've talked about, anyone who knew my grandma knows that unless it was for chocolate ice cream, she was an eat to live rather than a live to eat kind of person. I could always count on a microwaved cup of day-old coffee with my breakfast when I stayed with her. But that was okay, because the best thing about my mornings at Grandma's was getting to enjoy a nice bowl of Grandma's yucky cereal. Now, I'm not sure how it came to be called that. One of us grandchildren, Alana, must have dubbed it that way back when they were living in Morristown. But I know that I always loved it, and I will cherish I had yucky cereal this morning. I will always cherish my memories of eating it with her at the table. I have a recipe for it saved on my phone, so I thought I would share it with all of you guys so that I think she would love to know that we can all continue to enjoy a healthy breakfast in the morning. So first, you cook together a cup of oatmeal, a cup of muesli, 2 tablespoons of dried skim milk, 4 cups of water. Add more if you need to. When done, you add cinnamon, evaporated milk, raisins, and prunes. And should you desire to butcher it with some flavor, you can add sugar. So that's my favorite thing, and I will think about her anytime I make it. Some of my fondest memories of my grandma are of her and I, and sometimes Aunt Judy, sitting down to play a game of Scrabble together. I remember sitting for hours playing at the house in Birmingham, and later at her glass dining room table at Fox Hill. We would mostly sit, enjoying each other's company and quietly thinking about the words we could make. In more recent years, I also used this time to ask her about her childhood and her early years of dating my grandpa. I will forever hold dear to my heart these conversations and quiet moments with my grandma. I will miss her company. I will miss the way she answered my phone calls to her with, "Oh, hello, sweetheart." And I will miss her love so much. And if anyone wants to play a game of Scrabble in her honor, I actually asked to have her copy of it, so I have it with me, and I think she would love to know that we're still using it to gather her loved ones around the table.
I had the privilege of sharing my teenage years with Grandma Renee and Grandpa Bernie. When I was in 10th grade, they uprooted their lives in New Jersey and moved to Alabama, not to show their devotion for Alabama football, but to be near family. They didn't exactly fit in the Deep South, but the draw of family brought them down. I remember the countless afternoons I spent at their house after school. I'd crash on their couch for a nap, and Grandma would always fix me a snack, which I'd eat while chatting with her around her table. Now this might surprise anyone who knew her, because Grandma was never known for her love of food, but she actually had excellent after-school snacks. And if I was lucky, she'd bring out some of her famous rice pudding. She didn't make it for Grandpa, she made it for me, but if Grandpa was lucky, he could have a little too. During those years, I really felt her unwavering love and support. Life feels tumultuous as a teen, and I knew without question that Grandma had my back. She had a way of making me feel safe and cared for in that special way only a grandmother can. This spoiling really only came out for her grandchildren. Up to her own devices, Grandma was known for her ability to take moderation to excess. Did you know you could share one tea bag? She always relied on her grandkids to meet her spending minimum at Fox Hill because her daily yucky hot cereal was better than anything she could buy. But above all, what stands out most was the warmth she carried. Grandma wasn't the loudest voice in the room. She watched, she listened, and when she did speak, her words carried weight. She communicated with thoughtfulness and intention. I will miss how she would take my hand, look me in the eye, and say softly, "I love you." It wasn't complicated or long, but the words and the feeling she imparted reverberated within me louder than anything else. I will miss her deeply, but I'll carry that warmth and the love with me always.
When Aaron texted us about sharing our memories, he was mentioning maybe all of us should go around saying what we want to talk about so there's no overlap or anything. And he mentioned something about Grandpa buying them too much candy and Grandma yelling burn at him. For the longest time, I thought I was Grandpa's favorite because of all that candy that he bought for me, but on that day I learned that wasn't the case. He spoiled all of us the same way, and Grandma yelled burn just as consistently around everyone else. And that's one thing I'll always remember about Grandma, her consistency. She consistently yelled at Grandpa when he tried to rot our teeth. She consistently spoiled us with her not-so-amazing cooking. She consistently cheered us on as we jumped off the high dive, making us feel like Olympians. She consistently rushed us off the phone after about 6 seconds of catching up. But most importantly, she consistently loved us with her whole heart every single day. Grandma's love was steady, simple, and strong, and that same love lives on in all of us. Every time we gather, every story we tell, every memory we laugh about, she will be there. What we'll carry with us is the kind of love she showed, constant, unwavering, and deeply genuine. That's the gift that she gave all of us, and it's part of her that will always stay.
Yeah, Dad, come on forward. Thank you. I just found my paper.
I love those kids. Mr. Schulman was rather insistent that I call him Dad and address Mrs. Schulman as Mom. And it was difficult at first, but then it came easier and easier until they became Mom and Dad. Not quite like Judah and Anita to me, but close and closer every year, and I knew they loved me like a son of their own. It was my honor to be their son, and I miss them both. I am grateful to them for the spectacular woman that they raised to be my loving partner, and the son they raised to be my dear, dear friend. I would tease Mom that I was grateful that they paid for my wedding. Renee was quiet, not demanding, and rarely ever requesting. Mom, how about? No. Would be the first answer, and sometimes the final answer. Mom didn't do well with change. And Mom, if she thought we would have to expend effort on her, she would say no. And her no's came from a deep love for us. She would hang up the phone before we could say goodbye, because she didn't want to impose on our time. And when we were giving to her, which we did out of love, she would say, I don't know what I did to deserve my wonderful children and grandchildren. And I would answer, Mother, there is nothing you could have done to have merited the fabulous family you got. Bernie and Renee loved each other for 67 years. Bernie was the personality. Bernie could come on strong, sometimes too strong. But if you looked hard, Mom was the strength in their relationship. One sideways glance from Renee, and Bernie knew it was time to put his shtick in the can. He wasn't always good at reading the room, but a look from Mom told him everything he needed to know. And he would gaze at her with such affection. The love was cute and corny even. Every meal began with a toast, where Bernie would lift a glass of grapefruit juice, tomato juice, whatever was on sale, look towards his wife, and mouth, I love you. And Mom would respond in kind. Bernie was left brain. He was analytical, precise, and he saw the world in numbers and patterns. Renee was left brain too. She had a different left brain than Dad's left brain. Her left brain was good with language, with order, with systems, with laundry. They were a perfect match, both left brain, and both the yin and the yang for each other. They were opposites, and at their core, they were more alike than different. Mom was quiet. She rarely initiated conversations, but she was pleasant to talk to. She skirted controversy. She wasn't provocative. I do remember one time she told me that fat people could never be happy, and I agreed with her because I'm not fat. Whenever the spotlight would shine on her, mother pushed it away. She wanted others to be the center of attention. Not her, please, not her. Her sense of adventure was tepid. She was always in control. Bernie would barrel down the mountain on his skis. Mom tried it and couldn't bear slipping and sliding. Bernie liked adventure. Renee predictability, and change was not her friend. I do not ever remember seeing Mom cry. She was stoic, sometimes to a fault. When Esther died, she pushed through it. When Bernie was sick and failing, Renee was a soldier. When my parents died, she was a comforting presence to me. But I didn't see her cry. Maybe she was accustomed to grief. As a teenager, Mom lost her adoring father to a sudden heart attack, and her son Bennett was snatched away as a small child. And tragically, Renee knew pain and grief all too well. But Renee also knew how to be determined in her own quiet way. She believed that her pain and grief would be a burden to those she loved. So Esther and Barbara and Rudy and Rose and Bob and Phyllis and Art and Judy and David and Louisa and Aaron and Lauren, Alana, Ben, Benjamin, Dana, Ruth, Diana, and me, Renee rarely showed the grieving side of her. She didn't want to tell us what hurt her, what tore her up inside. She built an armory around her to protect us from the pain in her life, from her sadness. Personally, as one who loved her very much, I am sad that we could not get close to that part of her, to hug her and to comfort her. And I think that is why in her last years, made difficult by the wear and tear of an aging body, when things hurt her, she would put her hands to her head and moan. She did not want to tell us what hurt her or what scared her. She internalized her worry and her sadness. She endured in silence and with determination to live and then die her way. Lesser people are defined by their profound losses, but not Renee Schulman. Mom would barely acknowledge them. She was defined by strength, by dignity, by an outpouring of care, if not effusive affection, but care to those who loved her. Mom was not demonstrative in the slightest. She always thanking us for what we did for her, which we did gladly. Remembering back over 54 years, I remember Mom saying to me, "I love you, John." It was the beginning of this summer. But you knew she loved you, though the words were not forthcoming. For Renee, advice was love, something that carries down through the generations. I want to address Barbara and Phyllis. You talked every day. I don't know what about. Barbara was an everyday phone call and Phyllis an everyday Fox Hill presence. You raised children together, loved your husbands and buried them too. You were of the same flesh and even with different personalities, supremely devoted to each other. And we and all of your children who are here cannot imagine you without the other. We ache for each of you to lose your sister and best friend. You know better than all of us here what it is like to grow up in Brooklyn. David and Judy. David, a continent away. busy with his life and his family, but never out of touch with Mom. He did whatever he could for her and for Judy and me, time zones away. Whether she lived in New Jersey, Alabama, or Maryland, David and Louisa were always connected and never distant. Mother's eyes were on you always, and her heart with you too. And Judy, my dear wife, your devotion to your parents was a constant. You devoted your time and energy to their welfare because it made you happy. And even when they became a responsibility that others would label a burden, you always saw them with loving eyes. You were honored to rise up and bless them and care for them when they needed it. And you were the insistent daughter. For you, mother's no's rarely meant no. You said yes, and you and mother blessed each other. For Judy and David, God commands us to honor our father and mother, and you did it best. This command has a reward, long life. I pray that our children will look to us as an example and be children to us as you were to our parents. In her last lucid day, I asked Mom about what she believes comes after our final breath. She said she didn't know, but she was ready to find out. I told her amid my tears, I am capable of crying enough for two people. Mom, I believe the people who loved us are waiting for us. They are drawing us to them. We go from being sheltered with the love of those in this world to embracing the love of our beloved dead. They continue to love us and pull us close to them in the next world, and that is what death is. Your parents, Ben and Esther, your son Bennett, and your husband Bernie are drawing you to them. They are pulling you away from us to hug you in the next world. You will be there to draw us close to you, to bring us back together. There was a long silence. Mother stared out with her blue eyes as though she were looking for something, and then said, John, I hope so. I said, Mom, don't be afraid. They're waiting for you. And she said, I am not afraid. I'm not afraid. May the memories we have of you bless us. May your spirit greet us in due time. Say with me all, Amen. I'm going to invite Leonia and Tali and Lauren and Ben and Dana to read these words from the play Carousel that Gigi loved.
When you walk through a storm, keep your chin up high, and don't be afraid of the dark.
At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark.
Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, through your dreams be tossed and blown, though your dreams be tossed and blown.
Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Our service will conclude in a few moments with the chanting of the memorial chant El Malei Rachamim, followed by a final audio rendition of a beautiful song. Burial will follow at the Mount Zion Cemetery in Queens. We will not be going in procession for those going to the burial make your way there, and in the program, the address will meet at the office building of that cemetery. Family and friends are invited back here for a meal, which I think will take place approximately 3 o'clock or so. There will be a Shiva Minyan this evening at Arbor Terrace at 7:30 p.m. Would you please rise? אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. לנשמת רחליתה בר אברהם דוב ואסתר שהלכה לעולמה. בעל רחמים יצרור בצור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על מי ישכבה, ונאמר Amen. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest unto the soul of Renee Schulman, who has departed from this world. God of mercy, bring her into thy presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou her possession, and may her repose be peace. Amen.